If there is a story that inspires me, it is the story of the best seed. It goes like this. There once was a farmer who grew the most excellent wheat. Every season, he won the award for the best wheat in his county. A wise woman came to him to ask about his success. He told her that the key was sharing the best seed with his neighbor so that they could plant the seeds as well. The wise woman asked, "How can you share your best seed with your neighbors when they compete with you every year?" "That's simple," the farmer replied. "The weed spreads the pollen from everyone's wheat and carries it from field to field. If my neighbor grew inferior wheat, cross-pollination would degrade everyone's wheat, including mine. If I'm to grow the best wheat, I must help my neighbors grow the best wheat as well." And the woman was amazed. This is not only great advice for growing best crop, but also for how to live your life. If you want to live a meaningful and happy life, help others find happiness. And remember, the value of your life is measured by the lives you touch with love, kindness, respect, and hope. May God bless you. As a man was passing the elephants, he suddenly stopped, confused by the fact that these huge creatures were being held by only a small rope tied to their front leg. No cages, no chains. It was obvious that the elephant could at any time break away from their boards, but for some reason, they did not. He saw a trainer nearby and asked why this animal just stood there and made no attempt to get away. "Well," the trainer said, "when they were very young and much smaller, we used the same size of rope to tie them, and at that age, it was enough to hold them. As they grew up, they were conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe that the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free." The man was amazed. These animals could at any time break free from their boats, but for some reasons, and because they believed they couldn't, they were stuck right where they were. And like the elephants, how many of us go through life hanging onto a belief that we cannot do something simply because we failed at it once before? We have to learn that failure is part of learning. We should never give up the struggle in life. May God bless you. As a group of frogs was traveling through the woods, two of them fell into a deep pit. When the other frogs crowded around the pit and saw how deep it was, they told the two frogs that there was no hope left for them. However, the two frogs decided to ignore what others were saying, and they proceeded to try and jump out of the pit. Despite their effort, the group of the frog at the top of the pit were still saying that they should just give up and that they would never make it out. Eventually, one of them frog took heed to what others were saying and he gave up, falling down to his death. The other frog continued to jump as hard as he could. Again, the crowd of the frogs yelled at him to stop the pain and just die. He jumped even harder and finally made it out. When he got out, the other frogs said, "Didn't you hear us?" The frog explained in sign language that he was deaf. He thought they were encouraging him the entire time. The moral of the story: people's word can have a big effect on others' lives. Think about what you say before it comes out of your mouth. It might just be the difference between life and death. May God bless you. Every one of us story in life. Listen to this. A 24-year-old boy seen out of the train's window shouted, "Dad, look, the trees are going behind." Dad smiled and a young couple sitting nearby looked at the 24-year-old childish behavior with pity. Suddenly, he again said, "Dad, look, the clouds are running with us." The couple couldn't resist and said to the old man, "Why don't you take your son to a good doctor?" The old man smiled and said, "I just did. We are coming from the hospital and my son was blind and he just got his eyes back." The moral of the story: every single person on the planet have a story. Don't be quick to judge people before you truly know them. The truth might surprise you. May God bless you. There once was a little boy who had a very bad temper. His father decided to hand him a bag full of nails, and that every time the boy loses his temper, he had to hammer a nail into the fence. On the first day, the boy hammered 37 nails into that fence. The boy gradually began to control his temper over the next few weeks, and the number of the nails he was hammering into that fence slowly decreased. He discovered that it was easier to control his temper than to hammer those nails into that fence. Finally, the day came when the boy did not lose his temper at all. He told his father the news, and the father suggested that the boy should now pull out a nail every day he kept his temper under control. The days passed, and the young boy was finally able to tell his father that all the nails were gone. The father took his son by the hand and led him to that fence. "You have done well, my son, but look at the holes in the fence. The fence will never be the same again. When you say things in anger, they leave a scar just like these ones. You can put a knife in a man and draw it out, but it won't matter how many times you say you are sorry. The wound will still be there." The moral of the story: control your anger and don't say things to people in the heat of the moment that you may regret later. Some things in life are unable to take back. May God bless you.